What's up, y'all? We've got another episode down the middle. My name's Nomal.
Ryan.
And we'll be talking about immigration and the HR1
For the People
bill.
Act.
Yes.
So, this is in our Power Grab series. So, we're under the illusion that the Democrats want more power than they already have, which seems pretty true. You saw our video on the filibuster, Washington, D.C., and the Supreme Court. All things that make it seem like the Democrats are not really valuing the roots of our democracy as much as...
Yeah, and also the bipartisan element that they've been looking for.
Does not exist.
Does not exist.
No, doesn't exist at all. So, HR1, the For the People Act, Nancy Pelosi's brainchild.
Mind you, 791 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a long bill.
You think people
too easy to filibuster, Nancy? Too easy to filibuster.
Mm-hmm. And basically, it just completely changes how voting would work in America. Just the complete overhaul of the system that we have currently.
Yeah. So, you had I forget who it was. I think Bernie Sanders. It was Bernie Sanders who said that voter integrity is our biggest priority, basically, in America. Because as a democracy, and Bernie Sanders is not a hardcore socialist. He is a socialist, but he has democratic socialist values. So he values democracy. There are a lot of things about democracy that Bernie Sanders values, and part of what differentiates between democratic socialism and regular socialism is democratic socialism is chosen by the people. There's a great emphasis on the fact that it's chosen by the people. So This is someone who values democracy a lot, and he says voter integrity is our biggest priority. Yeah. Now, voter integrity meaning that we just need to have safe and secure elections. Make sure that people are voting once, people who they're voted for is counted, and that the right people are voting. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then with this new bill that's been proposed, it just has a lot of loopholes where things like ballot harvesting, and then people that could be potentially dead are voting, and people that are not who are claimed to be someone else could be voting as well.
Dead people always vote Democratic too. I don't know. Do they fund cemeteries or something? I don't get it. So, break it down for me. What's in this bill?
Okay, so do you want to just go through the list and then talk about it, or do you want to
list a couple things?
Okay, so one of them is allowing politicians to get a 6-to-1 match in campaign donations.
I need to be on
and using taxpayer dollars. So that means they could pay themselves using taxpayer dollars. Another thing is ballot harvesting, potential ballot harvest rather. But
that one that you just listed, what was that?
Which one?
The one you listed first.
6-to-1 matchmaking.
6-to-1 match. Okay.
Yeah, match in campaign donations.
Yeah,
using federal money.
Yeah.
Another one is forced voter registration for each state. So the voter registration would be on a federal level than a state level. So you can't really pick out the nuances within states. And then it makes it illegal to ask for ID at the voting stations. They also propose 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to vote, which I don't even understand.
You have Kamala Harris coming out saying that 18 to 24-year-olds are stupid.
Right.
I mean, does that mean that... Are you in like the intellectual stage, 16 to 17, and you just get dumb for a while, and you just get smart again?
And then they also propose campaign workers can pick up absentee ballots without any supervision, so which would promote some...
Ballot harvesting.
Yeah. And then compile states to count votes outside of assigned precincts.
Yeah, so no district voting, which is stupid. I mean, a lot of this is senseless. Like the first thing you said about the
matchmaking, the 6-to-1.
Yeah, so you have this weird dynamic now that I guess you would just kind of like donate to a politician fund, and then the politicians will take from that, and they can use it for salary or campaign. I like the idea that if I want someone to win, I give them money. I don't like the idea I want someone to win and I give the person they're running against money.
Right.
And you have a 6-to-1 match, which I need to go run for Congress now. Yeah.
I'll get paid off my college debt right now.
6-to-1. Yeah. I mean, I understand why Joe Biden said that we the people is the government, because they're just like taking everything. Yeah. It's not even just like policy anymore. We just want your money too. We're just gonna do everything with it.
And on top of that, just using taxpayer dollars. It just doesn't make any sense for you.
A lot of this is senseless. The thing about voter ID being illegal, like if I go to the thing and I just want to show the guy my ID, am I gonna get arrested? If you don't want it, that's okay. But making it a crime, I don't understand that.
Yeah, and I don't get that, because you need to board a plane, with an ID. You need
so much.
You need a driver's license. Even just like open a bank account or just go to the club. You still need to show some form of ID.
When Nancy went into the Capitol to draw this bill up, she showed her ID at the door.
Yeah,
and then she wrote down, "You don't need ID." So
I just don't understand why for that scenario you wouldn't need ID.
What else is illegal that you listed at the end?
Illegal?
What was you said one more thing that was a crime? Did you?
Let me see. No, I don't think so. Oh, well, not unless it's necessarily illegal, but restricts states from using U.S. postal services
Oh,
to verify addresses for registered voters. But that's not nothing necessarily illegal.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so I misheard you. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it is very weird. The 16 and 17-year-old voting thing is just kind of irrational.
Yeah, I mean, these kids aren't even out of high school yet. And I think a good point that I brought up like a couple days ago when I told you, in schools you're taught what to think, but outside of that, you have to learn yourself on how to think.
How to think yourself.
So, and a lot of these schools are just, not really. I think there's a huge problem with the education system currently, and now you're letting 16, 17-year-olds who can't even make decisions for themselves vote.
Yeah, and you have the collection of...
And obviously younger the youth or younger people would vote more so.
Always vote blue, yeah.
Yeah. So another attempt for a power grab, I'd say.
It's not necessary. You had the biggest voter turnout ever last year, and you don't need to let these 16 and 17-year-olds be able to vote. There's really no sensible component to this idea.
And on top of that, just to add, that's the population that's more so influenced by social media outlets.
Exactly.
And just general news outlets as well.
I wonder if they're blue or red, social media. Usually people who have experience, like you said, how to think, people who go through paying taxes and they live a little bit, they turn from blue to red. I've met so many people who are liberal and now they're conservative because they actually had to go out and work. 16-year-olds don't have to do that. I was working at 16, just saying, I was working.
Yeah, but at 17.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't work for a long time, and those people vote blue because, like, if you say to a young kid, hey, I want to give you a bunch of free stuff and you don't have to do anything for it, I'm just going to tax that old guy over there, and he's going to give you money, that kid's going to be like, all right, mister, I'll vote for you. Like, I mean...
Sounds good to me.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds great. And obviously you talked about you have cases where people who have moved out of state, their old house is getting ballots. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's making it... I'm not going to say it's making voter fraud possible, but it's just like...
I would say voter fraud possible.
It's making the election a lot more susceptible to not being able to trust. Like
Yeah. There's a lot of mistakes that probably happen.
I'm not going to sit here and say potentially there's a case where this doesn't all work out perfectly, but like looking at the stats behind it, it just seems like a lot of this is senseless.
Yeah. And
not necessary, especially in light of your last election pulling... 170 million Americans out to vote?
Yeah.
It's a crazy number, but the most ever by far. Not even close.
Exactly.
Anything else you had in there that we missed?
In regards to what exactly?
HR?
67 voting. My ball. I said voting. Campaign workers can pick up absentee ballots without any oversight.
Yeah, so the ballot harvesting thing is scary, and the thing that this is a contradiction to the Georgia bill. And the Georgia bill is just making voter integrity more of a priority. And a lot of things are put into place because of coronavirus. Because we were scared that the vote wouldn't turn out because coronavirus and people wouldn't come out and vote. So we put in drop boxes and we had ballot harvesting and we had increased mail-in and stuff. That stuff doesn't need to be a thing anymore.
Yeah,
we're done with COVID.
It was great at the time though, because of COVID.
But you saw the drawbacks from it, that we had this very, very controversial election, and you had people from the other side saying the election's not credible. You had people just saying, no, we had the biggest turnout ever. So this stuff, the perfect election is when everyone who is physically capable goes into person, proves who they are, and gets their vote counted. Yeah, that's a perfect election. And if you can't do that, you request an absentee, provide verification, and send it in. But you also don't want kids as a voter, if I was a Democrat or a Republican, doesn't matter. As a voter, I want my vote to be counted as much as possible.
Yeah.
I researched. I did my work. I've lived in America. I know these politicians. I don't want some high school kid who is smoking weed behind the bleachers to be able... His vote doesn't count as much as mine. Well, if he wants to go out and do the research when you become 18 and you go to college and you start to actually learn and then you go and vote, it's a huge difference. And then someone who you tell a kid, hey, November 3rd, you can go put a name on a ballot, but he knows nothing about it.
Yeah.
Not that all 16-year-olds don't know politics, but I would say the vast majority of them are not as interested and not as knowledgeable about this stuff as people who are more experienced and grown are.
And then it also goes, just want to touch up on that, on the whole unity aspect. And you just don't want your people distrusting who really was the president of the United States, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And I think Biden won. I
think that Trump pulled out votes. He did something no one could ever do, and he made people go to the ballots like crazy.
Yeah.
And that everything that ensued after that was just a byproduct. And
yeah. But my point with that is that you just don't want distrust within America, at least. And also, there's just people still, holding up a Trump sign like Trump is still my president.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You want to move on
scary
from
thing.
election.
I don't like to see the MAGA 2020 things out there right now. I don't like to see the Make America Great Again is okay because those hats don't have a date on it. But the things that say that Trump is your 2020 president, you want people to move on. And for Republicans, it's also hurting us. You need to focus on 2022, guys. Come on. So, and another thing about the HR 1 is we're granting voting rights to 22 million immigrants who are in our country now. It's just like and the same thing with the filibuster, DC, and the Supreme Court thing. You just have a lot of policies that you just ask you want to ask these politicians on a lie detector test, if those 22 million were going to vote red, would you support this? Because that's a lot of 22 million votes. It's a lot of people.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we get into the immigration conversation because part of this power grab we see is the fact that we have this huge crisis on the border. Joe Biden actually had a great moment in his speech the other day where he said that we need to fix it.
And that's all he said. And then he got an applause.
And then everyone exploded because we need to fix the crisis at the border.
Yeah.
There's no actual plan, and ICE is being completely kind of taken apart, who are usually in charge of this.
Yeah. And there's actually literally no plan. And no plan to a point where he's actually getting
backlash from the left.
Backlash from the left.
Yeah.
So he's getting backlash from the right for rolling back the Trump-era policies that obviously Trump has made.
Which was remain in Mexico. No catch and release. So when you took someone at the border, you made them wait in Mexico for them to come across when they got their court date and everything. You had no catch and release. So right now the policy is that if you catch someone crossing the border, you literally just let them go into America.
Yeah. And then, so he's rolled all those policies back, but then he has done nothing to roll forward, any bills to roll forward, and that's where he's getting backlash from the left. He also is getting backlash for not removing of Title 42. Which you could expel any immigrant under any circumstance out of the U.S.
And you have people from MS-13 who are getting in. You have people who are people getting raped at the border. People assault charges. You have a lot of dead girls in the river when the senators went to visit. You have a lot of bad things going on there.
Yeah.
But he's not using that action.
Yeah. And then another thing he's been receiving backlash for he kept the cap of the refugee. What would you call them?
The refugee cap.
And then at 15,000.
But he upped it.
When? Recently?
No, it was crazy. You didn't hear?
No.
He kept it, and then AOC came out and she was yelling about it, and he upped it an hour later.
Oh no!
AOC was
I guess AOC's the one who's keeping him, who could get him in trouble.
Getting him in trouble, yeah. Because literally, he was we're gonna keep the refugee cap where it is, and AOC was on Instagram this is a disgrace. I can't do this. And then an hour later, he was just we're going to raise the refugee cap. Or Psaki came out and said it or something. It was instantaneous.
But for a while, though, he wasn't raising it, though.
Yeah, and until he announced it, then the left was he's the worst president ever.
And he's
I wish we still had Donald Trump. And he was actually, let's just everybody, come on. We don't need other continents. And Mexico's pissed off about this, too, by the way. Yeah, so just some numbers. And the best thing about Joe Biden is that he's not even acknowledging the fact that this is a thing in the first place.
Right.
He says this is cyclical. So, every year at this time, you just have 172,000 people per month pushing into America.
Yeah, which is completely false.
Completely false. You had 977,000 encounters at the end of 2019. And that was a year with a giant spike. There was a big high in 1 month 2019 where there was over 100,000 migrants. Yeah. It was a huge spike.
That was in February where there's more than 100,000, and then following March, this past March, 172,000.
Yeah, exactly. So 2019 was a bad year for the border. It was a big year for immigration. 977,000 at the end of the year. Right now, we're in May. We just started 570,000+. Right. So we are going to destroy that number.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's astonishing, honestly.
Yeah, really. And you have all these kind of things. You have ICE. He's taking apart ICE. You have the abolish ICE thing. AOC said ICE is the KKK. ICE is just the immigration control.
Yeah.
Customs and...
Enforcement.
So basically, they are in charge of our deportations and see who slid in, who's pushed out. Their deportations are down 50% with the increase.
Yeah. So it's just a dead halt on what's happening, and that's the biggest problem that Biden has. He's not taking any course of action on what's going on. Also, he denies the problem that exists.
And this isn't even talking about the things we can talk about when we start to talk about the economy, about how this is going to really hurt our economy because of minimum wage laws and because of paying these guys off the books, and they're going to take American jobs and everything. This is just talking about the fact that they're letting these people in. They're giving them vaccines. They're teaching them in person. There's the kids at the border are getting Kamala's book. You're indoctrinating blue voters.
Exactly.
That's what you're doing. And what we spoke about before is that the socialists about 100 years ago spoke about how the true downfall of America would not be revolt from the workers to the capitalists, like Karl Marx said. It would be an indoctrination of revolutionaries through our education system. And now you're taking all these young kids in, teaching them how to think and what to think.
Yeah.
And now, how do you think they're going to vote? So,
it's just another attempt at it. Just packs on to what we've been seeing with the policies that they've been trying to push forward, and then now at the border, it's just like, what's the main idea? What's the main objective? And it's kind of clear, in my opinion, at least.
Just blue votes. It's scary. This is our last thing we'll touch on for the policy-wise power grab that we see in America right now. But I mean, a down the middle recap. Republicans support immigration. We want that flow of immigration. I mean, under the past administrations, you had about 1 million immigrants per year, and they're allowed to go wherever they want. You want good, honorable people in your country. They don't even have to be rich. They don't have to have any type of economic. You just want good people, and that's been the case because we're a nation of immigrants. Yeah. 250 years ago, there was nobody here. Well, there were people here, but America wasn't a thing. So we're a nation of immigrants. We value the immigration system, and we want new workers. Well, I mean, what do we call America when we were in school? The cultural mixing pot.
Yeah, the melting pot.
The melting pot. That was thrown. We heard that term 400 million times.
And we still are.
Yeah, we are. That's what we are. We want that immigration. Yeah. But the thing is, there's a huge difference between controlled immigration and letting people in so they can work and earn a living, and just letting everybody in and just like not caring. But even
and more so indoctrinating them as well.
Indoctrinating them.
In the process.
So like, I understand, and I don't think that Joe's a bad guy. I think that he is honest when he says that like these people, there are people who are escaping horrible things, and America is the place where you need to be all around the world. If you're in China, if you can get out and you're in that communist system, exactly, you're in these different places. North Korea, these places in Mexico, which Mexico is not bad compared to those places, but you're looking for asylum. America's the place to be, and we want you here. We want to protect you.
But the main thing is that we need a process to do that, right? And obviously we want good people. I think most immigrants are good. It's just that
100%.
Yeah, it's just that the process that we have is just not a good process that we have right now, where we can't really sift through them and really see.
And just like an example to bring up, Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. California was the utopia of the world for a long time, for like 70 years during the 20th century. And Reagan put through a plan that let a lot of people in, more people than ever before. And they all went to California. And California has taken a huge hit because of just like this reckless immigration that you just let a lot of people in. They all went to California. California started to vote blue. And if that's the reason why, but California has really, no one's going to California anymore. But all the countries around the world, it was the richest place per capita in the world for a long time.
Yeah, I read that, yeah.
So there's just really... I know that Democrats don't care about the past, but this has failed in the past. I know they don't care about common sense, but this is not really sensible.
Yeah, I think Tim Scott said it best when he said common sense creates common ground.
Exactly.
And if Biden really wants common ground and have that unity that he keeps on preaching about, he really needs to really have a process where both sides can agree on this is the best course of action we can take for in terms of immigration.
Yeah, and I mean, you have the AOC going down to the border when Trump was president, and she's got this amazing photo shoot where like she's crying and the photographer's like in her face, and she's crying, but she's like, can you get out of my face? Unless if it was scripted, which no way, because there's no way it was scripted, and she's like at the cage like this.
Yeah, and then you have another video of Ted Cruz also at the border during Biden's presidency, and then they're trying to
she's blocking him.
She's blocking Ted Cruz, and it's like, you can't record this.
This isn't a zoo.
Have some respect, but like this is the same exact thing that's been happening. And then
you've got 300 kids in a 400 square foot box, and she's saying this isn't a zoo, and I'm like looking around like, I mean, that looks a lot worse than a zoo to me.
And mind you, the COVID-19 infection rates are incredibly high.
A lot of these kids have
and you're putting
COVID.
these people in danger, if anything.
Yeah, a lot of them. You're not testing them at all. Yeah, I've seen videos of what happens at the border and how you just kind of like, you take them, you don't test them or anything, and you just kind of huddle them up and you rule what's going to happen to them. And most of the time you just send them in. So
it's inhumane, honestly.
It's inhumane. It's going to affect our democracy for a long time. It's going to kill jobs. It's going to just really negatively affect the electorate. So, but we'll see what happens. And I understand the premise of we want these people here, we need to protect these people. I do, but there's always a controlled and a rational way to do things. And
yeah, I think that's pretty much it on Immigration HR1.
Pretty much it. We're trying to make these videos shorter for you guys so you guys actually watch. So, you're welcome. But we'll catch you guys soon, all right?